and I'm eternally grateful that you came out and spent all night here with us. Let me tell you what happened. It started about 12:22 this morning, Saturday morning. We've had burglaries of vehicles where people haven't locked their doors and people are flipping handles. We also recently had some burglaries at a concession stand at the Hunt Fountain Park off Duff Road in North Lakeland, which is where we are. So we had deputies assigned to the area as a hot spot, and Deputy Conover did exactly what she was supposed to be doing, checking out suspicious vehicles. The county park closes at 10 p.m. and she noticed a white vehicle here and pulled up behind it. As she approached the vehicle, she saw that there was a male in the car, and he rolled the window down a small amount, and she was trying to talk to him and ask him why he was in the park, and he wouldn't cooperate. She asked him to get out of the car, and he wouldn't get out of the car. Now understand, at this point he's resisting a law enforcement officer in the performance of their duty. He's also violating a county ordinance. She retreats to her vehicle and she asks for additional backup because he is resisting her. At that time, among other deputies, Lieutenant Chad Anderson arrives and Deputy Sheriff Craig Smith. There are a total of 4 deputies and 2 trainees which are going through orientation and beginning the process to be full deputies next Monday that was working tonight. So they once again told him to get out of the vehicle. Little did they realize at that moment in time that this was a sovereign citizen. He was Moorish. And Moorish sovereign citizens are known to believe that federal law, state law, local law does not apply to them. They are known to resist law enforcement. And there is a history where they shoot police officers. So they started trying to take our suspect out of the vehicle when he produced a gun and started shooting. Lieutenant Chad Anderson was shot once in the arm and it went through and into his chest. Our Deputy Craig Smith has 4 gunshot wounds. They went down immediately. Lieutenant Anderson got some rounds off. The backup deputies shot a lot, and we don't know how much yet. We're in the initial stages of crime scene investigations, and we can report that to you later. But we killed the suspect. We killed him graveyard dead, and we killed him dead in a gunfight, a firefight with our deputies who had no idea they were dealing with anyone other than someone being in the park after the park closed, being suspicious, and resisting our efforts to identify why they were in the area. Lieutenant Chad Anderson underwent emergency surgery, and he's in critical but stable condition in intensive care. Craig Smith currently is stable and in the intensive care unit, and we have deputies assigned to them. All of this information is initial, and as you know, I release the information that we know, and it's subject to modification or change or addition later on, and that certainly will be the case now as the investigation goes on. We're not identifying the suspect at this moment because we're searching for next of kin. He appears to be living out of his vehicle. We see where another law enforcement agency had an interaction with him in another county park approximately a month ago. That's under investigation as well. We'll release information later today. But as a result of the gunfight, as a result of the suspect shooting at our deputies, striking two of our deputies, creating critical injuries, we shot and killed him. He chose that outcome, and we obliged him. I want to turn this over, and then we'll answer questions after our state attorney, Mr. Haas, talks to you.
Thank you, Sheriff. I'd just like to start out by saying this morning this is another example of an incident that shows how dangerous the job of a law enforcement officer is. What would seem to be a routine interaction with a person turns into a very scary and dangerous situation, potentially deadly. So I think it's important that all of us remember that when we're thinking of our law enforcement officers. I'm out here because of my deep concern for the deputies that were injured, and also to support law enforcement and our sheriff. I'm also out here because the way we handle officer-involved shootings here in this circuit is we have a task force in place, and there will be multiple investigations that will occur, but under my task force we have highly trained detectives from throughout our circuit, Highlands County, Hardy County, Polk County, the many agencies, and they're going to review everything that happened, get all the details, and present a report to me for my review at the conclusion. The goal of this is to give the public a very transparent, thorough investigation so everyone knows what happened and how it happened. And we're working on that now, and we want to move as quickly as we can, but being thorough is the most important thing. So we just wish the best for the deputies that are injured, and we'll have the report as soon as possible to the public. Thank you.
Once again, I want you to see what two heroes look like. Two that were shot in the line of duty while they were standing in the gap between good and evil, while they were protecting the people of Polk County, while they slept peacefully in their home in this very neighborhood. I ask that you keep them and their families in your prayers. They have significant injuries to overcome, and the road to recovery is not going to be easy from these significant injuries. But they're strong, they're great men, and the other deputies are not injured physically, but emotionally, obviously, they're shook up because they were in the middle of a gunfight with a very dangerous sovereign citizen just last night. Any questions?
Sheriff, in terms of the way the four deputies responded here on scene, as best you can tell, did any of these deputies do anything that you wouldn't have done if you were out here?
No, these deputies responded I've listened to the radio traffic, and the first deputy, when she met resistance, she only had a trainee with her, and you don't want to get into a conflict situation if you can avoid it by yourself. She called for assistance. Other deputies responded. Supervision responded in an effort to resolve the event peacefully. And quite frankly, when we started trying to take him out of the vehicle started moving. He was leaving. And that's when the shots rang out. That's when our folks were immediately shot down. And that's what happened. Craig Smith and Chad Anderson were standing at the door close together, and they were immediately shot and went down. We know that Chad Anderson got off some rounds. We don't believe that Deputy Smith did, because he was shot all through the right arm. He had 4 gunshot wounds in his right arm. And the backup deputies, which were there, we never expected conflict. We thought, once again, it's not uncommon for people just to resist. And we thought, well, we'll have to pull them out of the car, put them in handcuffs, and ultimately take them to jail. And then in that instance, the blink of the eye, they're in a gunfight for their lives.
the term sovereign citizen, there's a risk that some in the public will hear that, in my opinion, will hear that and think it sounds sort of frontierish, and there's some potential to glorify the person who goes by that kind of a term. Can you just describe this person's behavior tonight and how we do live in a society of laws, and you can't just go around and say that's not for me?
Certainly, all the indications we see, he is a sovereign citizen identifying with the Moorish philosophy, which simply means they resist government, they don't believe in government, they don't think the laws apply to them, and they can do what they want when they want. And that's what we see here tonight that occurred. We still have a lot of work to do in this instance, but they're known to be violent and to shoot police officers. Now, there's a lot of Moorish sovereign citizens that aren't violent. They're peaceful in the sense, but they file lawsuits and papers against government officials, but being physically violent, they're not. But there's a percentage of them, and we ran into one last night that was very violent. Now, we make arrests frequently on sovereign citizens. We never publish the fact that we've made an arrest on a sovereign citizen because we don't want to market for them. But when they try to shoot and kill my deputies, it's important to understand who we're dealing with here, and it's important for the community to understand who we're dealing with. And we see every indication, from his dress last night to his ideology, to that it all is 100% four square into this sovereign citizen ideology. And he was dangerous, and he proved to be dangerous last night. The only possible clue that they could have had, it's not uncommon when you stop people who want to resist, they roll the window down a small amount and talk to you through the window, but won't roll their window down and communicate. And he resisted every effort last night. So at the end of the day, we have a picture of the firearm that he shot the deputies with. I've asked them to bring that out. This is a Springfield 9mm XD, and this is the firearm he used to shoot my deputies last night. So he asked for a gunfight. We gave him a gunfight, and he'll never be in another gunfight again because he's dead, like he asked for, and we obliged him.
Did the trainees have any involvement at all? Or?
The trainees, simply put, once they finish the academy, they take the state exam. They go on the payroll, and then they ride with the deputies in a non-training position until hire date. The official hire date's next Monday. But this week, because they'd finished the academy, they had finished their state exams, they were simply riding along. So the two of them were involved in an event last night like they may never be involved in again if they spend, and we pray that they're not, a 30-year career doing this. But let me underscore what our state attorney said. This job is not dangerous until it's dangerous, and then it's dangerous like that, and we never know when that second's going to be. For example, Lieutenant Anderson, which was a former SWAT member, has been with us almost 26 years and has never been in this kind of a shootout before.
What's the first name?
Chad Anderson. Craig Smith has been with us 11 years, almost 12 years, 11 years, 10 months. And it went from an interaction that at most, being in a park after 10 o'clock at night might have gotten you a warning or a civil notice. And I asked to move along because we've had problems in the area, and for you to sleep here tonight would put you at risk. So they were here not only checking out the suspiciousness of him, but they were trying to protect him in the event some of the burglars that we have been chasing around here in this area could have approached him. And he escalated it into a gunfight. And we gave him a gunfight.
And then Smith has 4 gunshot wounds. Do you know where?
In his right arm.
And then Anderson was shot in the arm that went through his chest. He went through emergency surgery. He's in critical but stable condition.
Yes. Okay.
I always got more, Sheriff.
Yes.
I assume that this sovereign citizen was not the suspect you were looking for in these burglaries or anything like that.
No, he was not.
Yeah, okay.
This sovereign citizen was not a suspect in the burglaries. And what happens, usually these folks are teenagers flipping door handles, looking for credit cards, cash, and guns. We've arrested several in this North Lakeland area. We arrested one for breaking into the concession stand here, but we had extra patrols in this area because people don't lock their car doors, and as a result, we have these car flippers. When we saw this suspicious vehicle, we thought, well, is this one of our burglars? It's evident it wasn't. And at that particular time, the most this guy, he had no outstanding warrants. The most that would have happened to him is a citation for being in the park after closing hours. But with him not being a suspect in these burglaries, they probably would have just told him to move along.
Are there other of these sovereign citizens around in this area?
There's sovereign citizens in every county in this nation.
And is this particular one known to you guys?
No. No. We don't think he's even from the Polk County area. And we're still running that down right now. Okay? Thank y'all very much. Have a good day.